The observation deck of the Stellar Wanderer hummed with the quiet efficiency of a ship in deep space. Orla stood at the viewport, her breath fogging the reinforced glass as she watched the ice moon of Glacius 7 rotate below. The human engineer had been assigned to this research vessel for 6 months now, and she'd grown accustomed to being the only member of her species aboard. Behind her, a small sound, half whimper, half growl, broke the silence. Orla turned to find a Vryxian cub huddled beneath one of the observation benches. The young creature's fur, normally a proud silver blue, had flattened against its body. Its triple-jointed limbs were drawn tight and its ear frills trembled visibly. Even its tail, which should have been held high with predatory confidence, lay curled around its body. The cub was shivering. Orla's eyes narrowed. Vryxians were apex predators from a world where the weak were culled by nature itself. Their adults stood 7 feet tall, possessed claws that could rend steel, and had once been the terror of 3 solar systems before joining the Galactic Coalition. They were warriors, hunters, survivors, but this was a cub, and it was cold. Without a word, Orla unzipped her jacket. The sound made the young Vryxian's eyes, all 3 of them, snap toward her. The predatory instinct was there, even in one so young, but it was dulled by discomfort and confusion. The cub watched as the human approached, every muscle in its small body coiled to flee. Orla moved slowly, deliberately. She'd learned this from working with Otis, the ship's Vryxian security chief and the cub's guardian. Never make sudden movements, never show fear, but also, and this was the part that baffled most species, never show aggression in return. She knelt down, her jacket now hanging open, and extended one hand palm up. The universal gesture of peace. "Hey there, small one," she said softly. Her voice was that peculiar human thing, warm, modulated, carrying emotion and frequencies that most translators struggled to convey. "You're Otis's little one, aren't you? Kresh, right?" The cub, Kresh, didn't respond, but its third eye, the one in the center of its forehead that detected thermal signatures, fixed on Orla with intensity. The human registered as a blazing beacon of heat, a walking furnace in the cold observation deck. Humans, Kresh had been taught, were bizarre creatures. They came from a world that should have killed them 1,000 times over. They were neither the strongest nor the fastest nor the most intelligent. They had no natural weapons, no armor, no venom. They were prey animals that had somehow decided to become predators, and they were warm, impossibly wastefully warm. Orla slipped her jacket off completely. Underneath, she wore only a thin thermal shirt, but she didn't seem bothered by the chill that had driven Kresh to shelter. She held the jacket out. "The environmental controls are malfunctioning in this section," Orla explained, still in that soft tone. "Your father is fixing them now. But you—" She gently draped the jacket over the shivering cub. "You need this more than I do." Kresh froze as the jacket settled over its small frame. The material still held Orla's body heat, and the warmth seeped into the cub's cold limbs like liquid comfort. It was more than just physical relief. It was the scent of safety, of care, of something Kresh's young mind couldn't quite categorize. The human was giving up her protection. For a cub not of her species, for a creature whose adult form could kill her with a single swipe. "There you go," Orla murmured, adjusting the jacket so it covered more of the small body. "Better?" Kresh's shivering began to subside. The cub stared at Orla with all 3 eyes, trying to reconcile what it had been taught about humans with what it was experiencing. Humans were supposed to be cunning, dangerous, unpredictable. They were pack hunters who never fought fair, who used tools and fire and words as weapons. But this human was crouching in the cold, in her thin shirt making herself vulnerable. The observation deck doors hissed open, and Otis strode in. The adult Vryxian was everything his species was known for, massive, powerful, intimidating. His claws clicked on the metal floor as he entered, and his eyes immediately found his offspring. "Kresh, I told you to wait in the—" He stopped mid-sentence, taking in the scene. His cub wrapped in Orla's jacket. The human kneeling beside the bench in inadequate clothing, her arms now wrapped around herself against the cold she'd ignored moments before. Otis's ear frills flattened in an expression of deep respect. "Engineer Orla," he said, his voice a deep rumble that the translator rendered as both formal and touched with emotion. "You have shown my cub kindness when the ship failed him. This is unexpected." Orla stood, giving Kresh one last gentle pat. Not unexpected, she said, offering Otis a small smile. Just human. Is the heating fixed? It is. Otis moved to his cub, but his eyes remained on Orla. In my culture, there is a saying. The strength of the predator is measured by what it does when the prey is helpless. You were not prey today, engineer. You were something we have no word for. Orla tilted her head. We have a word. It's called being decent. Otis carefully lifted Kresh, who still clutched Orla's jacket. The cub made a small sound, and Orla chuckled. Keep it for now, she said. I've got another one in my quarters. Humans learned a long time ago that you can't survive by being the strongest or the fastest. You survive by taking care of each other, even the little ones who aren't yours. She headed toward the exit, then paused. Besides, in about 30 seconds, your cub is going to realize that Jacket has pockets full of the chocolate rations I've been hoarding. Consider it a bribe for future friendship. As the doors closed behind her, Otis looked down at his offspring. Kresh had indeed discovered the chocolate, and the cub's eyes were wide with wonder at this strange human treasure. Father, Kresh said in the youngling's version of their language, a series of chirps and growls the translator didn't bother rendering. Why did she give me her warmth? Otis's ear frills rose in what might have been a smile. Because, my child, humans are apex predators who decided that the greatest strength is not in taking, but in giving. They are the only species in the galaxy who evolved to be social, not because they needed to hunt together, but because they wanted to care for one another, even for cubs of other packs. He carried his offspring toward their quarters, already composing the message he would send to the Vrixian homeworld. The Council needed to know. Humanity's true danger wasn't their technology or their tactics. It was their inexplicable tendency to give their jackets to shivering cubs, and in doing so win loyalty that no threat could ever command. In the cold observation deck, the temperature began to rise as the repairs took effect, but the warmth that mattered most was already spreading through the ship, carried in the simple act of one human who unzipped her jacket without saying a word. Because that's what humans did.